Hello and welcome to another reading of Opportunities, chapter 10, What Dreams May Come. Lifelessness was all Michelle could see in her mother's remains. Aunt Sarah had brought both Michelle and Steve back to Michelle's house. A half-drunk bottle of whiskey lay smashed on the floor, the shards of glass digging into poor Anne's dilapidated body. It was a sad yet scary sight to behold. Police and investigators were everywhere. Detective Johnson was there investigating the scene. "So neither of you were here when it happened?" Steve and Michelle replied together, "No, sir." "At the time of her death," Steve added, "I was at St. Clement's High School, finishing off my daily work while Michelle here, I believe, was on campus." "Which university is that?" the detective asked. "It is the National Switzerlandic University along the windy banks of the river Yolanda," Michelle replied. "I'm familiar with that university," Detective Johnson said, "in eastern Canara." Just then Michelle's brother Laurie spoke up. "I was around when Mama killed herself." "What makes you so sure that it was suicide?" the detective asked suspiciously. Laurie became silent, then Stanley spoke up. "I don't know, but it sure wasn't any of us." "Shut up, Stanley," Laurie said, nudging his little brother. "These are policemen, and they may suspect that we did it." "But I don't suppose you killed her," Detective Johnson stated. "But I will need you both to come down to my office first thing tomorrow for questioning. Michelle, you need to come down to the office as well. We need to question as many people." Anne's death had brought a lot of questions into place. However, over the course of a couple of weeks, her case was closed, and it was confirmed that Anne actually took her own life. Her funeral was underway. By this time, the boys, Stanley and Laurie, together with their sister Michelle, were staying at the Finchleys. Catherine and Robert Finchley, Steve's parents, looked after them well. After Anne's funeral, many weeks later, Steve came back and saw Michelle try on her wedding dress. God, she looked beautiful in it. A tear or two came from Steve when he finally realized that his pretty face was going to be his eternal partner in this life of challenges. "It's time, Steve-o," Michelle said. "This is a dress your mother picked out for me when we both went out shopping for the wedding. Steve loved it. It's beautiful, pretty thing." "Hey, why the pretty thing?" Michelle asked. "Because you're more than just a pretty face now." "Yes, but thing?" Halfway through the sentence, Steve kissed his fiancée. "Let's keep something for the wedding night," Catherine said, as she was standing at Michelle's door. "Mum, doesn't she look divine?" Steve asked. "Of course, dear," she said. "I just wanted to say that dinner is ready. The boys are complaining that they aren't fed enough. It's been some time since I had to deal with teenage tantrums. Well, not since Steve was their age. Now come on, dears. We can't start without you." Downstairs at dinner, it was now pretty usual to see Johnny, Emma, Sarah, and Dave seated down to the Finchley's dinner. A bit like SimCity, actually. "Kathy, the spread is simply wonderful," Johnny remarked. "Dad, it's just roast beef," Sarah said. "I know," Johnny replied, "but it's just your cooking, Kathy. It has a quality unmatched by others." Johnny's wife, Emma, then asked, "Hey, Johnny, what about my cooking?" Laughing, Johnny said that the best cooking his wife could do was boiled eggs with toast for breakfast. "Well," Emma added, "I must admit that before we came here for dinner, we've always chosen outside food." Catherine blurted out, "You should give your family more nutrition. Outside food isn't so good." Emma conceded this was true. "I know, Mummy dearest. Let's get on with eating the food, okay?" Sarah said. "It will all get cold. Look, the boys are stuffing themselves with the food already," she said, laughing at Stanley and Laurie's enthusiasm for eating. And Sarah was reminded of the loss of their mother. She became saddened and started to cry. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" Dave asked her. "It's the boys," Sarah told him. "They are without a mother, and yet they don't seem to show they've missed her. Perhaps they need more time to mourn." At long last, Steve and Michelle came downstairs. As they sat at the table, Michelle cleared her throat to make an announcement. Steve and I will be getting married a week from Tuesday." Everyone was overjoyed and congratulated Steve and Michelle on their chosen date. What dreams may come, as everyone was enjoyed at the prospect of Michelle and Steve getting married, though there was one person who wasn't too happy about the way things were going. She was not there at the dinner. Kathy's sister was at Anne's grave laying a wreath for her and saying some prayers. Since Anne's death, Aunt Sarah was not fully herself. She felt great guilt pangs over what happened. She kept herself isolated and started to binge drink. As Steve's dream was being fulfilled, a darkness was beckoning somewhere. Poor Aunt Sarah kept on recalling what happened on the day of Anne's death. Images of the whiskey bottle, the drugs, and most of all, when Anne died, she did nothing when she saw her friends struggle for life. This one guilty thought kept running through Aunt Sarah's mind. I wanted Steve and Michelle to be happy. So what harm was it to let nature kill off the one person who kept getting in the way of that happening? That thought was what killed Anne. That thought was what made Michelle and her brothers orphans, but that thought also allowed for a match made in heaven come true like a fairy tale with a happy ending. That thought, as ugly as it was responsible for allowing missed opportunities to transform into possibilities for what dreams may come. As far as Aunt Sarah was concerned, her dream for Michelle and Steve was turning more into a nightmare for her own well-being. Who could she confide in? So since Anne's funeral, she had come to the grave of her friend, rain or shine, to seek forgiveness for an unforgivable act. So there's chapter 10 for you, all sprawled out. If you want to buy my stories to support this reading, please visit Buy Me a Coffee and spare a change for me. You don't have to join a tier membership, but there are opportunities for you to improve your English there. And also in Patreon, there are opportunities for you to support my writing enterprise. Okay, there are many stories there for you to buy too. All right, and if you want to buy this book, please feel free to buy it from Amazon and all other outlets that are selling it. I thank you for listening.